What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Wrestling Junkies podcast and Mr. Cincinnati. And conspicuous by his absence is the podcast dad. He is unavailable tonight, but he will be back tomorrow for our doubleheader, in which we've got a two-part SummerSlam preview show. Cannot wait to share that with you guys. Before we introduce my guest for tonight, as always, hit that QR code in the top left corner. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you know one person that would enjoy our podcast, please do us a huge favor and share it with them. We are on the road to 1,000 subscribers right now, and we need your help to do it. So, again, it takes 2 seconds. Just share a link, share a post, anything, everything. Every little bit helps. So thank you guys so much in advance for doing that. As always, make sure that you are following the Main Event Wrestling Network for all things Main Event Network. We've got podcasts, fan art, blogs, you name it, we have got it. Make sure that you are giving those good boys and girls a follow over there. As a programming note, even though he is not in the chat just yet, make sure that you are watching the On the Mark Wrestling podcast. They are usually live on Thursdays, but we are going to be at a wrestling show in Cleveland on Thursday night, so they are recording a couple of days early. So make sure that you go give them a follow as well at Pod on the Mark. Real quick, if you need some merchandise in advance of SummerSlam, make sure that you are using our WWE Shop affiliate link. Up here in the top left corner, everything that we earn goes right back into the world of professional wrestling, as you have seen with the many shows that the Wrestling Junkies continue to sponsor and work with, and that is a privilege that we work hard to help better professional wrestling wherever we can, and this is one of those ways that we do it. Before I introduce my guest tonight, a couple of quick sponsorship details. Battle for Sale Creek, September 7th, presented by Scenic City Invitational, streaming live on IWTV, another show sponsored by the Wrestling Junkies podcast, as well as Stan Styles Intergender Bonanza number 20. It is my party. I will cream if I want to. We are supporting friend of the show, Sammy Chaos, as she takes on Killdozer Matt Tremont, also streaming live on IWTV. I think that is all I've got in the way of announcements. Anything I forget, blame the podcast dad. Since I'm flying solo tonight, I decided to bring in a little bit of help. I'm thrilled to welcome back a recurring guest, a jack of all trades for Absolute Intense Wrestling based in Cleveland, Ohio, the site of SummerSlam weekend, Dustin Alberty. Dustin is here to talk about two huge shows coming up: Against the World on August 1st and Slammed on 6th on August 3rd. AIW is bringing out the big guns for SummerSlam week. I mean, we've got former WWE superstar Heath coming in, Kenta from New Japan, and potentially seeing the last indie appearance of the Motor City Machine Guns. So you know it's going to be an epic discussion and an epic moment in Cleveland this weekend. Slammed on 6th is the unofficial tailgate party for SummerSlam, hosted by the one and only Chris Van Vliet. So without further ado, please allow me to welcome Dustin Alberty back to the show. Dustin, it's good to see you, man. How are you?
It's great to see you. You did it about as well as I could have done it. It's good. It's good. It's good plug-in.
Well, thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. I got to bring out the big guns for you. I mean, last time that you were here, I think we set an all-time audience record. So let's hope that we can do that one more time.
That's what I do. I bring the big guns.
Clearly, from what we're seeing that AIW's got going on this week, it is set to be a busy one. And I know that we talked a little bit before the show started about how you're feeling, but other than being exhausted, what's going through your mind? Cleveland, the wrestling world is descending on it in a matter of days, if they're not there already. So tell me what's going through your mind.
Yeah, it's going to be a big week for wrestling in Northeast Ohio for sure. You mentioned AIW. We've got a show Thursday night, and we have a Saturday afternoon before SummerSlam, and then GCW will be here Friday night. So it's a good solid few days of wrestling. I feel like the indies, and then you also have your typical SmackDowns. WWE is putting on a bunch of different events in the area, but we're here to talk wrestling, not Sami Zayn comedy shows. So here we are.
Yeah, no.
Actually, you know what? I'll plug it because they've been very kind to us. The Nemeth Brothers are doing a comedy show tomorrow night. So if you're in Cleveland Wednesday night, Nemeth Brothers are doing a show. I think it's close to selling out at I believe it's at the Great Lakes Brewery in Ohio City on West 25th Street. Nice. So check that out. Shout out. That's for you, Nick. You don't have to pay me for it.
Well, you know what? I'm starting to think that next year I need to just block off an entire week for these events. It just seems, I mean, especially after seeing what somebody put together an infographic that I saw during WrestleMania week of all of the events that are just happening in Philadelphia around the area. So tell me a little bit about I know that we're here to talk AIW, and that's basically
Yeah.
what this entire show is about. But what else have you seen in the way of wrestling as people are descending on Cleveland?
All right, so I haven't really been downtown the last few days. Guardians weren't in town all weekend, so I didn't go to any Guardians games. I know one of my buddies, he does sound for AIW. His name's Ronald Two Legs. He does the AIW podcast as well. His on his super secret real job, he was putting up some SummerSlam graphics on some bars to put out in the area. I don't know if they're like going to be actually in the stadium. They haven't shown the set yet. I know they showed it a little bit set up last night on Raw, but I don't know. It's going to be. I feel like it's going to go from 0 to 100 real fast downtown for SummerSlam.
Yeah, no, I definitely can't wait. And at least in our mind, as far as the Wrestling Junkies and the rest of our main event network crew that will be headed up to Cleveland, Thursday is the beginning for us. AIW Against the World on August 1st. Let's talk a little bit about this card. Appearances by Heath, Kenta, potentially the last appearance of the Motor City Machine Guns. We've got your mainstays, Eric Taylor, former guest of the show, as well as Wes Barkley, who will be joining me next week after SummerSlam to talk about this
yes,
event.
Sir.
Take us through kind of the build for this card and what fans can expect, especially for people that have not been to an AIW show for the first time.
Yeah, so the AIW atmosphere is maybe one of the best in independent wrestling. I've been to multiple different types of shows on multiple different type of levels, and no place feels like AIW. It's got a very a lot of former ECW originals have said it has a very ECW feel. It's got that like kind of gritty, just party vibe. Everybody's there to have a good time. Everyone's there to cheer and boo. There's no real hierarchy. Everybody just kind of goes there to have a great time. And again, you said Heath. You mentioned Eric Taylor. Heath versus Eric Taylor. Eric Taylor constantly steps up in big situations like that. He had a banger with Eric Young a few years ago. Wes Barkley putting that Intense title on the line against the newly won Intense title, might I add. Putting it on the line against Anthony Green. Love Wes Barkley. It's a big big shot for Wes Barkley to prove that he belongs on the top of the indies. What else we got? You said Kenta versus Broner.
Yes.
There's not much you can say about that. If you've seen Broner wrestle, you've seen Kenta wrestle. It's gonna be just two dudes throwing wild haymakers at each other. It's just gonna be one of those like I don't know how these two dudes are standing by the end of it. We got what else we got? Let me look through here. Well, you mentioned Motor City Machine Guns, possibly one of the last ever times you get to see them on the indies. Who knows? Who knows where they're going? A lot of rumor and innuendo as to what's going on. Going up against the tag team champions. So we might not have any tag team champions here in a few weeks, depending on what ends up happening with the Motor City Machine Guns. It's happened to AIW before. So wouldn't be the first time, wouldn't be the last time. We still don't have a women's champion because she's Shayna Baszler, and she's on the television every week.
Let me just ask you real quick before we break down the rest of the card here. Especially when you know that you're bringing in talents that are the subject of those rumors and that innuendo, as far as potentially making a leap, to a WWE or an AEW along those lines. What's the thought process behind the booking, bringing them in as far as those final appearances?
So I mean, you'd have to ask John Thorne for like the actual like what's going through your head right now. To me, and it's just kind of being around AIW as long as I have, and guys like the Motor City Machine Guns. The Motor City Machine Guns have been in AIW multiple times separately. They've never been in AIW as a tag team, but Alex Shelley was a regular for a while. Chris Sabin was on for a couple of years there. He was on like every other show. Like they were both on very regularly, and it's always just been kind of a hope to get them as a tag team in AIW. I can tell you, back in 2000, and I want to say it was probably 2013. It was right before Kevin Steen got signed.
Mm-hmm.
The plan for AIW was to do Kevin Steen and Johnny Gargano versus the Motor City Machine Guns. So that was like the original time they were trying to bring the Machine Guns in, and just didn't work out for, Kevin Steen getting signed reasons. And I mean, they're also not a team that does a lot of meet and greets. We kind of talked them into doing a little bit of a meet and greet, so it's not an opportunity you get very often to come and actually talk to them and meet them. So you should definitely be there. Again, it's more than likely one of, if not the last time they are going to be on the Indies.
For sure. And AIW very clearly has an intense presence in the independent wrestling scene. Let's talk about Cleveland specifically as far as wrestling in Northeast Ohio, because you guys have the privilege of essentially bookending, the weekend as far as SummerSlam weekend with the show on Thursday, and we'll talk a little bit more about the tailgate on Saturday. But what can fans expect from this experience of going to not one but two AIW shows that are, basically, rounding out the weekend?
We've tried to push the fact that these are going to be two totally different types of cards. AIW is, if you live in Northeast Ohio and you've been coming to AIW for a while, we do a lot of, like, we call them like fair shows or spot, like they're like spot shows basically at like home days and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which next weekend on the 9th, we're going to be in Minerva, Ohio doing a show. And then on August 10th, the next day, we're setting up in the middle of like Main Street in North Canton, and we're doing a show in North Canton. So we love doing those shows. It's always like it's a little bit more laid back. And this West 6 show, the Slamdown 6, this is going to be like the pay-per-view of like those spot shows. And those spot shows, you just get wild matches you're not going to normally see on an AIW show. Both of these shows, we kind of like have said, like, like they're canon. They make like titles are actually on the line. Like these wrestlers are, but like there's like the storyline's all just wrapped up in Absolution. So these are like, we can kind of play around with the toys right now and just throw wild things against the wall and see what comes up. And that's another big part of like coming to these two shows in particular. It's very much you're going to get AIW in its like purest, rawest form, just the wildest matchups you're going to find anywhere, especially with like the names that are being brought in.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is, and especially for the price of a third row ticket, we are absolutely being spoiled. And the second that we all kind of realized that we would be in town on Thursday, it was just kind of like, yeah, this is a no-brainer. This is definitely a show that we need to go check out. So what matches? We'll start with Thursday, but what matches are you looking forward to the most?
Honestly, so Isaiah Broner and Kenta, we talked about.
Yeah,
like that's just wild. Just again, it's just gonna be two dudes. Kenta came in a couple years ago, faced Dominic Arini, and that match just was one of the best matches I've ever seen live, and I expect just about the same out of Kenta with Broner. Like it's gonna be just two dudes again, just beating the crap out of each other. As I'm scrolling through the matches on Twitter, and I just saw there's a video on AIW's Twitter account, X account, whatever you want to call it, account of Dominic Arini getting slapped by Kenta, and it's one of the most disgusting sounding slaps I've ever heard in a professional wrestling ring. And then beside that, like, really, I think people who are coming to AIW for the first time, like, we're kind of expecting people who've never been there before, or people who don't necessarily follow the product, because like it's like, oh, there's a wrestling show with these people who we know, we're gonna go to it. I'm excited to see the like AIW people show out. We have a 6-way scramble with Dex Royal, Trey Lamar, Dr. Daniel C. Rockingham, Tyler Jordan, Sam Holloway, and Mikey Montgomery. And AIW is like known for their scrambles. And with these 6 guys, like you're gonna get a little bit of everything. Like you'll get that little bit of comedy from Dr. Dan. You'll get the high flying out of Mikey, Trey, and Dex. You'll get the big guy stuff out of Sam Holloway and Dr. Dan, because Dr. Dan he's got some size to him. And then Tyler Jordan, Mikey Montgomery, both just terrific, just technical wrestlers.
Yeah.
It's going to be one of those, like, every time AIW puts on a scramble, it's just off the charts. Like, it's like what they're known for. And then, of course, the main event is going to be crazy. It's four of AIW's best. Got Alec Price, Derek Dillinger, Joshua Bishop versus the champion Chuck Stone in a 4-way match. It's just going to go bonkers.
I like it. I mean, in all these names, Dex Royal, we've seen a couple times live this year. Sam Holloway just crushed it at ETU this past weekend. Josh Bishop showing up at Slammiversary and damn near murdering PCO.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah, that was
unbelievable. As I was talking to him, and he's like, I just went out there, and I was like, so if you know Josh Bishop, like, TNA is like his wrestling. Like,
yeah,
I grew up on WWF, WWE. Like, that's what I grew up on. He grew up on TNA. Like, to him, Slammiversary is WrestleMania. And, like, that kid was probably so giddy at the time while he was murdering PCO. And, like, it's the thing that everybody talked about coming out of it. Like, nobody talked about the title changing hands. Nobody talked about Josh Alexander beating up Joe Hendry. Everybody talked about Josh Bishop murdering PCO. It's unbelievable.
Wrestling in 2024, man. That's the virality of it.
It's the best.
Yeah,
it's the best.
It really is. But let's turn our attention to
there. Uh-oh.
Saturday now. It's slammed on 6th. I'm trying to get the graphic up here. Tailgate party hosted by the one and only Chris Van Vliet. How did this appearance for CVV come about? He definitely spent some time in Ohio pre-COVID, but it's nice to see him back in the Buckeye State.
Yeah, so Chris Van Vliet has kind of been... So he's from Canada. I don't know how much you know about Chris Van Vliet. He's a Canadian. He got his start in, like, media, in broadcasting in Cleveland, Ohio. He worked for a local station up here, and if you go back and look, there's plenty of videos of him interviewing people backstage at AIW shows, and he was kind of always around when he was here. He went on to do big things, and
he did.
If you're gonna do a WrestleMania show, you got to bring in the big guns, or SummerSlam show. If you want to get people to show up before SummerSlam, you got to bring in the big guns. So why not bring Chris Van Vliet around to kind of get the crowd going?
Hey, I don't blame you. I'm going to take a second to put myself over here. I think this was probably 2019, a previous podcast I hosted. It's one of the final times that he was still doing stuff while living in Greater Cincinnati, and had the chance to have him on a pod. I did, drank some beers with him. So super nice guy, and definitely looking forward to seeing how this show plays out. You had said earlier that kind of a tale of two shows. As far as what you guys have planned for this weekend. So how does the tailgate differ from what you're intending to present on Thursday?
So Thursday is going to be like your typical AIW, like it's in our like home venue in Cleveland. It's going to look like a wrestling show. It's going to look like if you watched Absolution, it's going to be very similar to that. We're going to we pulled out all the bells and whistles for Absolution, did crazy lighting, things like that. We'll do the same thing this year. Then on Saturday, it's going to be like, again, AIW in its, like I said, AIW in its rawest form on Thursday. I guess maybe even more of its purest form on Thursday. And it's probably in its rawest form on Saturday. We're going to set the ring up in the middle of the ring in downtown Cleveland. We're going to throw some of our wildest guys out there to get the crowd going and get these people who, again, this is almost an infomercial for AIW. Like, this is hey, you guys, you're going to SummerSlam. You heard about this SummerSlam like pre-party thing. You guys know this is here every week, right? And then hopefully enough people see it that they keep coming back.
Yeah, no, it makes sense for sure. And and I completely forgot to mention this, but even after the show on Thursday, there's an official after party, if I'm not mistaken. If I saw that,
on the Twitter, don't want to miss that.
Yeah, tell everybody about that, what everybody can expect, and I'm hoping there's karaoke.
There's no karaoke. I do know that. At least I don't think so. I don't think Old 86 does karaoke, but it's Old 86. It's owned by, if you know Pants, he's a local graphic designer. It's his like pride and joy bar. They just opened up in the back of the, like, so it's the bar. You walk through, you go out a door, and like it's almost an alleyway next to the bar, and there's like like a 6-car garage that they converted into like an outdoor garage bar. So it's kind of like if you go to like your uncle's house who has like the fridge of beer and then like the couch is just kind of whatever out in the thing. It's like set up like that. It's really cool. Plenty of space, very affordable. You never know who's going to be there. I mean, AIW has a very long list of of alumni, we'll say. Very long list of alumni. You never know who's going to want to just come and hang out and see what's happening. And that's kind of another, like, you never know who's going to be there Thursday. Like, we don't know who's going to just show up. I mean, plenty of people will be in town, but who of our old friends will just show up to say hi. And
for sure.
It's a big part of it too. That's in the after party. It's anybody's welcome to come. Please, like, don't feel like, oh, I don't know anybody. Like, just show up and you just talk to somebody. Start talking to one of the wrestlers. Any of the wrestlers that are there, just talk to them. And I mean, they're all very personable. I'm personable. Come start talking to me. It's a good time. It's Old 86. We did our first after party there after Absolution, and it definitely fit the aesthetic of what we were looking for in a bar.
Nice. I did promise Eric Taylor a beer, but he's got to win first, so we'll see what
happens. He is going up against Heath. I don't know how much that's going to work for him, brother. But
it definitely sounds like there is a fun weekend ahead with AIW. Definitely can't wait to interact with you and check it out for the first time. We're definitely excited. But let's not forget about the reason why everybody is descending on Cleveland. It is SummerSlam. We will be doing our official pre-show tomorrow. It is a two-parter tomorrow at 6:30 and 8:30 p.m. Eastern. I'm not going to get into my predictions just yet, but I just want to ask you your thoughts on kind of the build to this particular SummerSlam. I think we've got 7 matches on the horizon here. I just want to get your thoughts on what Papa H is doing this summer.
I mean, I just went over the card again. It felt bigger last year going into it. I think part of it is I think everybody is waiting to see what will happen. Not so much like they're not excited for. I don't think people are excited to see Cody Rhodes versus Solo Sikoa. I think they're excited to see, like, well, what happens after the match.
Yeah.
Like, is it? And I think, like, that's everybody's kind of waiting on that. Like, okay, well, what happens there? And then I think the Seth versus CM Punk stuff, or the Drew versus CM Punk with Seth stuff. Like, I feel like it's just been dragged out now for 7 months, and I get some of it. Like, I get why you keep Punk in the mix to keep it going, but, like, at this point, we're 7 months in. They haven't touched yet. And CM Punk has kind of ran out of bullets. And every promo he's cut the last few weeks has been very cookie cutter. I think Drew's been doing some of his best work beside that. Seth has been doing all right. He's been doing his Seth stuff.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, Damian Priest versus Gunther, like, that should be a good match. Like, I'm not saying it's going to be bad, but I don't think that's like to me, that's not like your marquee biggest show of the year. Like, this is the match we're putting on for you.
Sure.
Type match. I think it's just missing that big marquee match.
Yeah. So I still, I'm still super excited about kind of the 3-way feud that they're building with Punk and McIntyre and Rollins. But I do agree with you in some points that this show feels more like, and I certainly don't mean this in a bad way at all, but it's kind of a transitional show to set us up for the back half of 2024. Like you already alluded to Cody and Solo, and kind of what's going to happen next there. I think a lot of us, myself included, are hoping that Roman Reigns returns this weekend. Maybe a Hikuleo sighting just to kind of bolster that bloodline and kind of set us up for what will likely be a Bloodline Civil War Games, if we're lucky. Rhea versus Liv, I think we're waiting just to see who in Judgment Day is going to turn on whom. That's kind of the larger story there. Both King and Queen of the Ring are getting their championship matches, and those are just kind of the culmination of those stories that they started in May/June. So, that's a very astute take on it, just because we are used to kind of just having these these grandiose moments, it seems like, and I'm not necessarily worried that there's going to be a shortage of them or anything like that. It's a very solid card, I think, and like I said, it's just I think that this is more to set up kind of the next chapter or next few months of long-term storytelling.
Yeah, like don't let me be being down on it, being that I think it's gonna be bad. I think it'll end up being like a good show. I think the matches will be good. I think there's gonna be far more good matches on it this year than there were last year. Like last year, there were some real slogfest and stinkers. I was there live, and let me tell you,
same.
It got long at points. I don't think that this show is gonna be that way. I think it's gonna be fast paced. I don't think any of these matches are gonna be. I don't think anyone's gonna overstay their welcome. I don't think anything is gonna be overly booked like that main event last year was. I think it's gonna be a really good show, but I also think that it's not because of the matches that are on it. I think it's because of everything that's gonna happen surrounding those matches more than anything.
Yeah, absolutely. Now that Monday Night Raw is in the books, I think one match that we were thinking would be added to the card potentially, and there's still time, is seeing Chad Gable and the Creeds taking on some members of the Wyatt Six, but it seems like that has been scheduled for next week on Raw. But again, anything can happen. But I bring that up because question here in the audience from Matthew Rodriguez, Fantasy Booking. If Uncle Howdy was in AEW and created the Wyatt Six there, what 5 underutilized AEW wrestlers would be perfect in this faction and the Funhouse characters for them? Thank you.
Oh, what a question.
It's a loaded one. Yeah.
So we need 5 people to be Uncle Hootie Howdy. Uncle Hootie Howdy could be Brandon Cutler because he's got that beard now. Let's go Brandon Cutler. We'll make Brandon Cutler Uncle Howdy.
Yeah. I like it.
Let's see, and we got the Dexter Loomis. He's the Vulture, right? So we got the Vulture. Who would be a good Vulture that's not used? Griff Garrison. Let's make Griff Garrison the Vulture. He's still there, right? He's got to.
He is still under contract there. Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
So we'll go Griff Garrison. And then the Rabbit's got to be like somebody big, like Eric Rowan. So Nick Camarado, right? That's his name, Nick Camarado.
Yeah, I like that.
Let's put Nick Camarado there. Let's see. And then the Joe Gacy Pig. Who's an underutilized fat guy? Or I'm sorry, large guy. Let's see. You know what? Let's just make it Brian Cage because I just think putting Brian Cage in anything is just the funniest thing.
Sure.
So we'll go the opposite. We'll go the opposite way and make him the pig. And then Sister Abigail the witch. Let's bring Julia Hart back as the witch.
Okay.
We'll make Julia Hart the witch. There we go.
That's
my fantasy book.
Okay.
Just because I think Brandon Cutler would be funny in any type of role where he has to do something big.
Yeah. I love all those. I think the only other one that I would do differently is I would swap Julia Hart for Abaddon.
Okay. Yeah, that
would be the only.
That does seem like the much more obvious choice.
Yeah, it's just there's such a dynamic character. And if you've seen them in interviews and hear them talk, very well spoken, very eloquent, like you can, that two-faced kind of duplicitous character that you need for these types of characters. I mean, I think that Abaddon will be a perfect fit for sure.
Yeah, I think that's a much better answer than Julia Hart. We'll go Abaddon.
Yeah, there's no wrong answers here. That's for sure.
No, I think Abaddon's the right answer. I think that was the right answer.
Yeah, no, it's I think we're in for a hell of a week here for sure. I know that you are probably dog tired and ready for the events to actually begin, so you can kind of be in the thick of things. But
I'm always just as ready for them to begin as for them to end. Honestly, before Absolution. I was running around and I got stopped by somebody, and they're like, "Oh, you excited?" I said, "Yeah." Like in 5 hours, this whole thing's gonna be done, and I'm gonna be able to relax finally.
I like it. Well, like I said, we will be there in person Thursday. We'll be there Saturday. We'll be at the after party. So, anybody that's out there going to Cleveland, if you see the Wrestling Junkies logo, come say hey, come take the picture. Let's have a chat and have some fun. This is a weekend that is meant to be enjoyed and just want everybody to have a good time.
Yeah, like we said, Thursday night, Temple Live, August 1st, 7:30 bell time, AIW against the world. Biggest names in wrestling. Got Kenta, Motor City Machine Guns, Heath, Anthony Green, Manders versus Dominic Arini is going to be there, and that's going to be two dudes beating the shit out of each other too.
Yep.
Got a bunch of our own homegrown guys. And then on Saturday, Slammed on 6th, show up. It's going to be just a big block party. I think there's like going to be bars set up in the street, so like you can just kind of walk around with your drink in that whole area.
I like it.
It's going to be live DJs. It's going to just be a wild party. And then I'd be remiss not to plug the rest of the month then for AIW.
Of course.
Next weekend, August 9th, as I mentioned, we'll be in Minerva, Municipal Park in Minerva, doing a show, like just setting up in the street and doing a show. I think we set up in like a basketball court actually and do a show, like an outdoor basketball court. And then North Canton Main Street Festival. I didn't see who the cover band is this year, but in the past there's been a Jimmy Buffett cover band, there's a Weezer cover band. So you come out, watch some AIW throughout the day, and then you got that. And then August 24th, AIW Wrestle Rager 8. Biggest show, like biggest party of the summer. Like it's just, there's no other show like Wrestle Rager. Pack 300 people in the backyard of a punk venue, set the ring up, the alcohols flow in. There's an after party afterwards with bands playing. It's the best. It's just, if you're trying to get to an AIW show, if you can't make it SummerSlam weekend, or if you do come SummerSlam weekend, you have a good time, like come back for Wrestle Rager. There's nothing like Wrestle Rager.
Yeah, well, definitely cannot wait to check that out. Gorilla Press Apparel says it's a party, and Mad Dog flows like water. That sounds like my kind of time for sure. But
oh yeah, we sell out of MD 2020 at no class.
I like it. Well, I guess I'm gonna have to try to get my hands on some this weekend. I'm definitely very curious now.
Oh yeah.
But Dustin, thank you so much for joining me. As always, pleasure to see you. You know you're welcome back anytime. You can find AIW at AI Wrestling on X, at Rev1010 is Dustin on X as well. 3 great shows this weekend. Wrestling Junkies will be there in attendance along with the rest of the pod on the Mark Boys and the Main Event Network crew, so can't wait to see everybody out there. But that is going to do it for us tonight. Remember, tomorrow we've got a double header, 6:30 and 8:30. We have the new Coastal Empire Wrestling Tag Team Champions, Chip Schuyler and Simon Sermon, joining us to talk about their Shock title win in a match that they were not even advertised for last weekend. Questions that we need answers to. We have also got Chris Andino from Summit Pro Wrestling in Pennsylvania joining us for our 8:30 show, and we'll be doing a 2-part SummerSlam preview here on the Wrestling Junkies podcast. So make sure that you hit that like button, share, subscribe. Here's that QR code one more time. If you know one person that would enjoy our show, please do us a favor and share it with them. But that is going to do it for
Nope, I think we cut out.
for us.
Technical difficulties, I guess. It's just me now, I think. Maybe. Possibly. It says we're live still. He's gone. I'm back. I'm still here. Eric's gone. I'm in charge now. This is my podcast. What do you want to talk about? Anything? Anybody? Any questions? I don't know how this works. I don't know how we shut it off now. We're just gonna keep rolling. AIW, then GCW Friday night. GCW down forever. You guys come out to that. I should be there walking around probably. We got SummerSlam, obviously. Let's see. I don't know what's happening. I don't know. It's weird. We're in the show. Everyone can hear me and see me. It says, anybody there? Anybody? Hello. Let's see. I'm looking. Oh yeah, no, it is just me. It really is just me now. I don't know. I'm sure he'll be back at some point. I'll just keep talking. This is a good time. No questions from the peanut gallery, huh? Sick. What else we got? We got J-Lick got announced in September 28th. Come on out. 2 shows. Big card. John Thorne's cooking. A lot of crazy stuff. Doing a 1-day 16-man tournament. After party, I believe, is going to be back at the Green Dragon in Akron. I don't know. I got nothing. I don't know how this is going to work. I'm very confused right now. Staying live. You guys should like and subscribe to this podcast, by the way. It's very good. I enjoy everything that Eric and Chris have going on here, and I'm excited to finally meet them this week and at AIW. I'm excited to meet any of you guys at AIW. Come find me. I'll be running around like a chick with my head cut off the whole day. I don't know what's going on. He hasn't even DM'd me yet, so I don't know. We're just gonna keep talking. Oh, there he is. We're back.